Escape from Tarkov Arena is finally here, and yesterday I got day one access to this game, and of course I played it for quite a few hours, and for the most part the game was a really pleasant experience. But of course, as with 99% of all things, nothing is perfect, and today that's what I'm going to be talking about, the good things, the bad things, and everything in between on Escape from Tarkov Arena from my day one experience. Let's start off straight away and talk about the rollout process. So Nikita told us that it'd all be based on when you got EOD. So for me, I got EOD back in 2016, and the earlier you had it, the sooner you should have got access to Arena. For me, I got it on day one, and that should have been the case for anyone with an Alpha armband. The Alpha armband you got anywhere up until the end of 2017, I believe. And that would have been fine. We knew that Edge of Darkness players would get first priority on any DLC and any other game modes, including Arena. And that, for the most part, is true. However, the rollout procedure just, I don't think, went as planned. I got an email at 6 o'clock yesterday evening, and I know that people that got the game roughly the same time didn't get their email to say that they could play until 6 o'clock the following morning. But then on the flip side, some people without any access to EOD at all, and those that only bought the game this year were getting access to Arena before the others that were pretty much promised it. And that goes for streamers and content creators as well. A select few of us were given a form to fill out to guarantee we got access as soon as the game went live. And again, some of us were waiting until the early hours of the following morning to actually get into any of the games. And even when we did get our emails to say that we were able to get access, there was issues where if you went on the launcher, it would still say soon. And even myself, I was waiting about 3.5-4 hours after I got the email to actually start downloading the game. And I think this ties in perfectly to probably my biggest gripe that I have with Arena, and that is the lack of servers they have available right now straight out the gate. They know how popular Tarkov is, and they know how much hype was around Arena, and yet there is fewer than 10 servers worldwide for Arena, and it just clearly gets bogged down with the longer match times than any of us want, even with the drip-fed player experience, and only a few of us having access to Arena at the minute. There has been multiple times since I started playing yesterday where I have had over 10 minutes matching times, and then even more so after you find a match, you have to then wait for a server to be allocated. That can take a further 5 to 7 minutes as well, and with how short the actual Arena matches can be, you're waiting more than you're actually playing quite a lot of the time at the minute. The whole matching experience just isn't great. What you need to do is then pick a mode that you're going to go in, pick the maps, and then you can start matching. You would think at that point everyone that started matching is ready to go in, but no, as soon as you find a match, you then have to wait for everyone to ready up, and you have a minute for everyone to ready up. If not, it'll take you back out and it'll then search for the next match, and again, you have to ready up. And there's been countless times where we're waiting 9 out of 10 players to ready up, and the 10th player just doesn't do it, so you get thrown back out, and then you find another match, and then you have to wait for those 10 people to ready up again. It can be quite a tedious process. But then after that, you then go through and find yourself a server, which, as I said earlier, can take a few minutes, and then you're finally in a game. But then everyone has to pick their loadout. And the loadouts overall are great, and I'll get onto those. But you then have to wait for everyone to ready up with their loadout. So that can be another minute if someone doesn't ready up straight away. And then you're finally in a game, and just the matching is just way too long. Once you're in a game though, and you are actually in a game, you're absolutely fine. The gunplay feels really smooth. The loadouts that you have to pick are amazing. Basically, each individual tree has a list of different weapons, starting from a really bad loadout at the top, and you have to use that loadout to then progress to the next tier, and then you progress to the next tier, it's a slightly better weapon, and then you go down the list and you have to use that again for more XP, and you win XP by winning games or just playing games in general. And it can be a really fun experience, apart from some of the weapons make you really want to gouge your eyes out. For example, right at the top of the skill tree in CQB is the AK, and you need to use this AK without a stock, without a sight, with T ammunition, really terrible fireman's helmet which you can't hear out of, and all of that just to get to the next weapon, which is an AKS, also with T ammo, but at least it has a sight on it, and 45 rounds of ammunition. It's a weird one, but being able to, I found this weapon that I really want to use down the list. You have to go through the weapons you may not be comfortable using to get to that weapon that you're going to dominate in. But that being said, some of the weapon loadouts definitely need a balance. For example, the PP19 that you get from the Scout class pretty much straight away after using the Kedda is really OP, especially at this point. All you need to do is aim for the legs or the head. Most people don't have helmets on, and if they do, they're helmets that they can't hear out of, so 9 times out of 10, they chuck it away at the start of the round. Instant beaming, and you can do it from quite a distance without there being really anyone that can counter you, because every other tier right at the top doesn't have much. Even the other side of the scout tree, which has a MP5 with AP 6.3 ammunition, is really powerful at the very start, because any class 3 armor that your character may have, it'll just melt through. And although it kicks a little bit because it's an MP5K, you just, burst it or take a couple of rounds to the chest and you are taking out people. There are certain weapons further on as well that just are overpowered. For example, just a couple of tiers down in the CQB section, there is a guy with an ult-in and a redivision body armor. For people that absolutely no-life this game, that'll be achievable in just a couple of days of playtime, and once they have that on top of everyone else that doesn't really have anything to combat it other than the leg meta, they will be dominating the lobbies. And I think it could do with a rework some of the tiers. However, the whole progression system as a whole is a really good idea, and it forces people to get to grips with weapons that they may otherwise not choose to use. And you won't usually hear this as a good thing very often, but skill-based matchmaking being in this game based on your rank is a great thing. Being able to be paired with people at your rank rather than at your actual character's level is much better, in my opinion. But that being said, rank does not equal how far down you are in that skill tree. You can still have that ult-in and redivision body armor and be terrible and paired with people that have just picked up the game but have a slightly better game average than you, and you can still dominate those lobbies because you've got these people that have nothing unlocked compared to you that has all the high tier armors unlocked. Overall, the actual gameplay when you're in a match is really fun. It's usually a 3-lane map, so people go left, right, or straight down the middle, and those people that do love W keying normal Tarkov will enjoy this because it is quite fast paced and action heavy. Hey, I got one. It's just me though, isn't it? Oh! Oh! There isn't usually many people holding angles. People are going for the fights and trying to take people on close range, while some people are just sitting back and picking people off, like a proper 5v5 should be. Obviously, with Tarkov being Tarkov, there's no mini-map or anything like that in Arena. There's very minimal HUD overall. You don't even know when your teammates die other than looking in the small kill feed that is in the top right of your screen. The only way you'll know how many are left if the game mode's going on for a little while is by looking at a billboard that's placed high up on one of the maps, and you'll see that there is 2 out of 5 squares remaining, and that shows you that there's 2 people left on your team, or vice versa. And this definitely does encourage players to VoIP. When you're alive, you can talk freely to your team using VoIP, and if you're further away, that'll come over as sort of like a radio frequency, which is really good. You can hear all your players communicate, and usually, from my experience, they do communicate quite well. You will have some players that just don't talk and don't tell you anything, but it gives you a good indication that people are trying to take things a little bit more seriously than just running around bunny hopping everywhere. People do usually say, oh, I'm going left, or I'm going right, or 3 people left, 2 people right, etc, etc. It does give you a little bit more of a team play aspect, which I think is needed in these maps especially. The only thing I would say about the HUD is right at the start of a round, you get a little thing pop up at the top of your screen saying, you are blue team, or you are red team. If that could stay there, that would solve so many TK issues, because all you're doing is looking at armbands that half the time you can't see from long range distances, and it involves in quite a lot of team killing. If they want to stick to absolute minimal HUD though, then you can go around this in a couple of ways. You can have your gloves that are red or blue to show which team you're on, or your team can always show blue and the enemies can always show red, you know, good guys, bad guys sort of thing. There's different ways to go about it, but I think it will involve a lot less team killing if that was changed in some way. The rounds are separated into 3 sections. You've got the first minute and a half to just kill the enemy team. If you wipe out all 5, then you win that round. If you don't kill all 5 in that time limit, then an objective spawns on the map and you need to go capture it. You need to stand in that objective marker for 7 seconds to win. And then if you don't do that, or you don't kill the rest of the enemy team, then the cleanup crew come in, and they are basically quite geared scavs that come around just hunting enemy players. And then eventually after that, if you kill all of those, killer and Tagilla are said to come in and take things into their own hands, but I haven't seen that happen to me personally just yet. It's a nice variation depending on how the team play works in the game, and if communication's done well over VoIP, then that can be the difference between the cleanup crew coming in or a team getting wiped in 10 or 15 seconds. That being said, there are still Tarkovisms throughout this gameplay. Audio still ain't the greatest. I was standing holding an angle for a little bit and someone literally hit barbed wire above my head and I couldn't hear a single thing and they killed me, for example. You know, audio, especially vertical audio, just isn't great. And also from there, you've also got the stutters and the slight desync that just happens. It isn't as bad as in normal Tarkov, like no way near as bad, but there's been a couple of times where I've died full on around a corner when someone shot me and you look on the kill cam and I'm standing right in front of them. It's a weird experience, but it doesn't happen anywhere near as much as it does in actual Tarkov. I've had a few occasions as well where audio just completely goes for a few seconds, then comes back, usually with a big stutter. And there's been a couple of occasions just in the first 24 hours that I've played this game where I've had server connection lost and a few people have had the same issue in my game and we've all joined back in at the same time. One thing that's new that's just a pain in the ass with Arena in comparison to normal Tarkov in the caption Tarkovisms, the whole announcer thing, just turn that bloke down, he is so loud. You can't hear footsteps over him, you can't hear yourself think over him, he's just loud and he will talk at the most inconvenient times. You should be able to turn that off with a tick box in the audio settings. It's as simple as that. You can't understand him if you don't speak Russian anyway, and basically if someone dies he will come over the intercom and shout, or if a round's starting he'll come over the intercom and shout, and he shouts really, really loud. There could be times where you're trying to track someone's footsteps from around a corner and then you hear this guy start speaking Russian really loudly in your ears, and then all of a sudden those footsteps are gone and you're getting shot from behind. Overall, this game mode is Tarkov if all you want is PvP. There's no gun customization at the moment, you certainly can't bring anything from your normal Tarkov character in at the minute, and hardly anyone has access to the game. If you do want access quicker, then the only way other than waiting is by buying Arena separately. You are guaranteed quick access to the Arena mode, but even then some people are still waiting. It's being drip fed more than I think it should, and I think the gameplay does need some tweaking, especially the loadouts and certainly the matching times. But other than that, it's a fun PvP experience. I don't know whether it'll replace Tarkov fully for me. It'll certainly replace Tarkov fully if all you want to do is W key in PvP. The whole risk element to Tarkov about losing your gear and never getting it back is pretty much gone. If you have 1.2 million starting, which everyone seems to, you're only paying like 70 grand for a very good loadout, and you get more than that back by winning a round, so you're not really losing money, and if you do, you're not losing a lot of it before you gain some of it back, unless you go on a really long losing streak. Overall though, it's still fun, it does need some work, more servers need to be added and more people need to be added for us to get into games quicker, there shouldn't be so much waiting, and the loadouts need to be reworked. They're my final thoughts. Let me know what you think if you've played it yourself or you've seen streams or gameplay of it anywhere else. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you get in Arena soon if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.